But I put apple cider vinegar inside my water. That's gonna burn fat. Joe Rogan said, make sure I put salt inside my water. That'll help me be better. I'm gonna eat chicken breast for the rest of my life, because that's the best diet. So the hard truth is, dieting gets harder after 40. But it's not because you think. It's not because you're lazy or weak. It's because no one talks about the real reasons. So today, let's talk about the real reasons people fail at diets, especially after 40. You ready? I'm ready. Let's do this. Most people don't need a new diet, right? They need a new perspective. You need a new way to think about things because you're using things that you've done in the past that have helped you before. Knowing that your body's changing, your body's different, but even more so, there's little things that you don't think about, like work, stress, family, all have a huge effect to your results. Now let's talk about it, because I've tried keto, I've tried intermittent fasting, I've tried low carb, I've tried Atkins, I've tried paleo, I've tried eating raw vegan before. None of the above gave me any different results than the usual same result. I lost some weight, but ended up gaining it back. But why didn't it stick? Was it my willpower? Was it my discipline? Was it my consistency? Yes, yes, and yes. But that's not all. Most diets are not designed for real world stresses. They don't put in how long you work. They don't put in how much driving you do for your kids. They don't put in how much time you don't have and would rather just relax and do leisure time in the time you do have. Yes, meal prepping is important. Getting your meals in is important. Yes, tracking is important. Yes, the food choice you have is important. Yes, going out food shopping is important. But the real question is, what's the most sustainable one for you? Right? There is no one meal plan. There's no one diet that's gonna work. There's no magic pill. It's what works within your constraint of your life. If your diet does not fit your life, it's not gonna last. Now, once you do find that plan, here's the second mistake. People expect perfect and then quit when it's not. I know exactly what that feeling is like. My diets mainly fail because I don't expect any mistakes. I expect my macros to be perfect. I expect my days to be perfect. I expect my life to be perfect around it. And then when it's not, I say, why am I even doing this? What's the point? I'm not gonna change anyway. It's not gonna be this way. I'm never going to be this again. So I'll just give what I got with what I have. It's that all or nothing mindset versus like a flexible schedule. And it's easy to say the diet failed me, right? Not I failed the diet, because we quit. Because when it gets hard and when it doesn't go our way, we wanna blame something else besides ourselves. We don't like to look inside. Right? Was it me? What did I do wrong? What can I change? And when we can do that, there'll be more success inside your diet plan than any other diet plan that you can follow. This is where I make a lot of the mistake, right? And I'm sure you do too. This is where I make tons of mistakes, and I'm sure you do too. We become too restrictive. We say, I can't do this, I can't have this, I can't have that, and it becomes a restrictive plan. And for a while, it's very successful. For a while, you're going to feel good, but for a long time, a longevity plan, you're gonna get sick of it. You're gonna get tired of holding back. You're not gonna have the willpower. You're not gonna have the discipline. You're not gonna have the consistency because you're gonna wanna stop. Why? Because it's boring. And you're probably starving. And if we stay too long into that starvation mode, our body's going to adapt to that. And that's what happens in the yo-yo, because you go into that starvation mode, your body adapts to that number of calories, and now you say, F it, and you eat 2 times the amount of calories, and now you're 2 times the size of what you used to be before you even cut down. And that's where that yo-yo dieting happens. That's what the world wants us to do. They want us to be there because it sells. And for me, restrictive plans with a history of eating disorders, I go into binges. I go into different mindsets. I go into way opposite thinking than what I need to be. Right? And it goes back to that perfection or bust, right? I have to be perfect. I have to find this, I have to find that. What's the way? And if I don't get it, I kind of just quit. But recently, I've stopped that. I found a more flexible option, a more flexible way to do it. I stopped thinking about it in different ways than I used to. And here it is. I looked at myself from a really broad scope. Right, really from far away. What are the biggest mistakes that I'm making? Right, looking internally, what are the biggest mistakes that I'm making that I am not adjusting because maybe a post or a video or a diet plan told me to do so? One thing, I was not tracking properly. Right, I'm not tracking the calories. I don't know what's going to my body. I'm guessing. I'm guessing about what it is. And then when I did track, I saw I was either eating too much food, usually for me, but sometimes, especially on busier days, I was not eating enough food, and that does matter. So finding out what your calorie count, what your numbers are, hiring a coach, go talk to a friend, just at least having an idea of how much you should be having for the results that you want is the first step. And I always mess that up. I always say, I'm intuitively eating. I'm not even that intuitive, right? I'm not that intuitive. How am I gonna intuitively eat all this food throughout the day? It's not gonna happen, right? Because when I intuitively eat, I'm just fucking eating. Sure, I'm eating healthy food, right? I'm eating chicken breast, I'm eating vegetables, I'm eating rice. But if you measure it out, 6 ounces of white rice cooked, it's a lot different than the bowl that you're making, which is probably 12 ounces of white rice cooked. We don't know unless we know our numbers, and that's where the truth falls in. And that's the truth for me. The second truth I learned is that I'm really good at 4 days of tracking. First 4 days, I'm clutch. The next 3, I kind of usually fall off, and that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, and I don't want to do it. I want to take a break. I want to calm down. I want to have to track. But that is a big mistake on my part, and I'm sure you're doing it too. So what we can do together is we can hold ourselves accountable to doing so. Making sure we watch, making sure we track most of the meals, because that'll be a bigger change than not doing it at all. I'm not saying you have to track all 7 days, even though it's a perfect thing to do, but at the same time, sometimes we're not perfect. But at least tracking or understanding or knowing or maybe even preparing and having a plan for the weekend so it stays within the caloric suggestion that we're working with is gonna be a win. Looking deep and in, that was always my biggest mistake. My biggest mistake wasn't working out. I could get those in. Right? My biggest mistake wasn't eating healthy options. I could get them in because I'm usually allergic to everything anyway. My bigger and biggest mistake was not tracking all the time and sneaking in beverages and not counting in for the alcohol consumption that I had, right? I don't count the little sauces that I add to my food. I don't weigh the extra little dressings that I put into my salad, and it all added up. So after doing it for 2 months now, I understand that I was making a lot of the mistakes that were holding me back, right? I had to look deep within inside. What was the mistakes were I doing? It wasn't the food, it wasn't the working out, it wasn't the thing. It was me not being prepared, not prepping beforehand, me not counting the calories that I needed to know, and me not including the alcohol that I was drinking on the weekends or whenever it is I had a drink. And I wasn't out binge drinking, but I would have a beverage here and there, but not putting them in. And that does make a huge difference, especially if you're on the road to trying to be a better, fitter, and leaner person. The one takeaway here is that we have to start identifying ourselves as a fit person. Not a person trying to lose weight. Not a, oh, I'm disgusting, I'm gross, and talking to myself negatively. Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm trying my best, I'm not there yet, I'm not a fit person. No, say you are a fit person. Say you are fit. Say you are on a mission. Identity changing the way you look about yourself is going to be the key here. If you think like a fit person, you're going to make fit results. If you think like a fat person, a out of shape person, you're going to make those type of thoughts and those type of changes where you're going to say, you know, what's the point of this? I'm not going to get there. I'm this person, I'll eat some chips. I'm this person, I'll get McDonald's. I'm this person, I'll just have a slice of pizza. If we look at it as if I'm on a mission, right? I am fucking streamlined focused with the way I want to go, you're going to keep moving to that same direction. And this also goes with working out, right? I used to say, I'm always in pain. My shoulder's in pain. I have a hip replacement. I can't do this. I can't do that. And I focus on the things I could not do. Right? I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't run anymore. I can't sprint anymore. And it ruined my workouts. Right? It ruined it. Now, from the outside looking in, I wasn't thinking about the things that I can control. Right? I can do my rehab work. I can do my mobility. I can do my, did I say mobility? That was a weird way I said it. I can do my mobility. I can do my core exercises to strengthen myself from the bottom up again. And I have done that. And now I feel 10 times stronger than I did 3 years ago. And just like the working out part for the 3 years, the one giant mistake that you're making, that I made, that we're gonna talk about in the next video. I'll see you then.